Welcome to News Edge, your sharpest source for daily headlines and deep dives. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stay ahead of the curve. On a day already tense with political drama, President Trump made headlines by firing Dr. Erica McIntyre, Commissioner of the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The move came just hours after a disappointing July jobs report. Only 73,000 new jobs, far below expectations. The timing was impossible to ignore, sparking immediate speculation that the firing was retaliation for bad economic news. For a president who touted economic strength, the weak report was a blow, and the firing sent a message: bad news would not be tolerated. Critics warned that removing a nonpartisan official for reporting facts undermined the foundation of impartial government service. The action was part of a broader push by the administration to exert control over independent agencies, including a public demand for the resignation of Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. These moves suggested a systematic effort to bend key economic institutions to political will, alarming experts and observers. The Bureau of Labor Statistics is meant to be independent, its mission to report accurate data regardless of politics. Firing its leader for political reasons struck at the heart of that independence. The controversy raised urgent questions about the future of fact-based governance in the U.S. The unprecedented dismissal of a top statistician over a jobs report sent shockwaves through Washington. It was a clear warning to other civil servants: deliver the right narrative or risk your job. The long-term consequences for American democracy and economic credibility were suddenly in sharp focus. Facing backlash, President Trump doubled down, accusing Dr. McIntyre of conspiring to hurt him politically, without evidence. He claimed she manipulated jobs numbers to favor Democrats, pointing to routine statistical revisions as proof. Experts quickly debunked these claims, explaining that revisions are standard practice to ensure accuracy, not political sabotage. The Bureau's process, updating initial estimates as more data arrives, has been used for decades by both parties. Trump's accusations were seen as an attempt to shift blame for negative economic news and distract from unrelated scandals. When pressed by reporters about other controversies, Trump pivoted back to the supposed BLS conspiracy fueling the firestorm. Critics called this a classic diversion tactic designed to control the narrative and rally his base. The administration's strategy was clear: deflect responsibility for economic troubles by creating a scapegoat. By labeling bad news as fake and blaming nonpartisan officials, Trump further eroded trust in public institutions. The controversy deepened as the White House continued to push unsubstantiated claims. The political motives behind the firing were obvious to many, as the administration faced mounting economic and political challenges. The episode highlighted the dangers of politicizing official data. Trust in government statistics and the institutions that produce them was now at risk. The firing and Trump's attacks on the BLS drew swift condemnation from economists, former officials, and even some Republicans. They warned that undermining federal statistics for political gain threatened the foundation of evidence-based policymaking. Financial markets reacted sharply. The Dow plunged as investors grew wary of political instability and looming trade wars. The turmoil signaled that the administration's actions were having immediate economic consequences. Business groups and Democrats called the move autocratic and damaging to economic health. When businesses can't trust official data, investment and hiring slow, risking recession. Internationally, America's reputation for reliable statistics took a hit, raising doubts among foreign investors and governments. The episode showed how quickly political chaos can threaten economic stability. Trust in U.S. data is a cornerstone of global economic leadership. Now, that trust was shaken. The long-term harm to America's standing and economy was becoming clear. As political chaos mounted, the administration escalated matters by announcing the highest U.S. tariffs since 1933. The sweeping tariffs sent shockwaves through the business community, with economists warning of severe consequences for families and companies. Prices on everyday goods, from electronics to food, were set to rise, acting as a direct tax on American households. Inflation risked surging, squeezing family budgets and threatening consumer spending. Businesses reliant on imports faced soaring costs, while farmers braced for foreign retaliation. The threat of a tit-for-tat trade war loomed, endangering jobs and exports. The stock market plunged further, as uncertainty made future planning nearly impossible. Investors hate unpredictability, and the administration's aggressive trade policy created a perfect storm. Combined with attacks on economic data, the tariffs risked pushing the US into recession. The economic and political fallout was now feeding on itself. Trump's attacks on the BLS were nothing new. They fit a long pattern. For years he dismissed official data that didn't suit his narrative, calling unemployment numbers fake during the Obama era. This strategy eroded public trust, making facts seem like political weapons. The danger, a divided public, unable to agree on basic reality, and a government hampered by cynicism. Reliable data is essential for markets and policymakers. Undermining it introduces risk and volatility. When leaders question official statistics, businesses hesitate to invest, slowing the economy. Even the Federal Reserve relies on unbiased data to set policy. If that's tainted, everyone suffers. Attacking those who produce the data weakens the government's ability to respond to crises. The cost of short-term political gain could be long-term economic damage. Despite fierce criticism, the White House and its allies rallied behind the firing. They claimed the president was right to remove a supposedly biased official, framing it as a fight against the deep state. Supporters saw Trump as a warrior battling entrenched bureaucrats and fulfilling his promise to drain the swamp. The narrative energized his base, who viewed media and expert backlash as proof of his outsider status. Claims of a BLS conspiracy fit neatly into a worldview that distrusted official institutions. The administration's messaging wasn't about persuading critics but solidifying loyal support. Outside this base, the defense was widely rejected as a cynical attempt to politicize a nonpartisan agency. Critics pointed to the lack of evidence and called it a raw exercise of power. The episode deepened divisions and further politicized government institutions. Amid the storm, experts from both parties rose to defend the Bureau of Labor Statistics. They highlighted the agency's century-long reputation for accuracy and objectivity. The BLS's data revision process, updating initial estimates as more information arrives, was explained as standard, not suspicious. Hundreds of career professionals, not a single commissioner, ensure the integrity of the numbers. The agency's methods are transparent and publicly documented, building trust in its work. The idea of secret manipulation was dismissed as absurd by those familiar with the process. Defenders warned that undermining trust in official data could devastate the economy. Reliable statistics are essential for business, the Federal Reserve, and government policy. Preserving the BLS's independence is vital for economic stability and democracy. The stakes were higher than partisan politics. They were about the nation's future. With criticism mounting and markets rattled, Trump made a surprising move, reaching out to Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. The president pleaded for renewed trade talks, hoping for a quick win to calm the crisis. A deal with Canada could have helped shift the narrative and stabilize markets. The outreach marked a dramatic shift from Trump's usual confrontational stance. The White House hoped Trudeau would see the call as a chance to avoid a trade war. But the move revealed desperation, as the administration scrambled to contain self-inflicted damage. The BLS controversy and market slump had left Trump on the defensive. Turning to a foreign leader for help was a risky gamble. If Canada refused, it would be a major embarrassment, exposing the limits of Trump's approach. The episode underscored the administration's chaotic, reactive policymaking. Canada's response to Trump's plea was swift and firm, a polite but pointed refusal to resume talks under current conditions. Prime Minister Trudeau's office made it clear, no negotiations while U.S. tariffs remained in place. Canada demanded respect for free trade principles and international agreements. The refusal was a principled stand, signaling that Canada would not be bullied. The rebuke was a diplomatic blow, exposing the limits of Trump's aggressive tactics. Instead of forcing concessions, the tariffs hardened Canada's resolve. The response was praised internationally as a defense of the rules-based order. The episode marked a new low in U.S.-Canada relations, leaving the White House isolated. Trump now faced crises at home and abroad, with few options left. The consequences of politicizing data and alienating allies were becoming painfully clear. America's credibility and leadership were on the line.